common questions you might be asking yourself. Will I be okay financially if I leave? Well, I mean, this is a really important consideration for everybody, particularly I think women who are usually the ones who do the main caring for the children, usually the ones that put their career on hold, usually the ones who are going to bear the bigger brunt financially. Now, I'm not making any sweeping statements. There are definitely a growing number of couples that split care for the children and split all finances for the children, and you know, like, absolutely, that if that works, then that's absolutely great. Both of you will be hit financially if you separate, because literally you're not quite doubling up on everything, but you have lots of rent or mortgage to pay, and then all of the bills, obviously, figuring out childcare, all of the stuff for the children, which costs a fortune. So will you cope? You know, the first thing that I ask people to do when we talk about the finances or talk about separation and that there is a concern of finances is go and get some advice. That is my absolute number one guidance to anybody who is thinking about separation. Go get some advice, because a lot of people are really misinformed about what they are entitled to, what the costs are of separation, how things get split, who brought what into the relationship, you know, who owns what. I would never there's a kind of like guidance that I go to, but that is not advice that I am qualified to give. So go get advice. What I would say is that it's a very, very common fear, and it's one that is usually overcome quite easily. Once you've got your facts and you know what you're dealing with, it really becomes quite easy to then figure out how to make it work. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of conversations about it and figuring out how you're going to split the finances, and hopefully you can do that amicably and not through the lawyers, because that's just an added unnecessary expense. Maybe you could go to a mediator and that would cut a lot of the costs. But the short answer, are you going to cope financially? The answer is probably yes. Will there be cutbacks? Yes. Will the lifestyle be affected? Maybe. I mean, obviously it depends on what your financial situation is. Everybody's financial situation is really different. But is there a way to make it work? I would say 8 times out of 10, there is a way to make it work. Short-term sacrifices, long-term gain. I mean, how much is your happiness worth ultimately? That's always my bottom line. How much is your happiness and emotional freedom worth?